You're listening to the Savage Nation. This is John DePietro sitting in for Dr. Michael Savage. You can join the program 1-855-400-SAVAGE. Let's go out to line 7. Pat is listening on WJR in Detroit. Pat, welcome. You're on the Savage Nation, Pat.
Thank you, John. I really appreciate what you're doing here. You know, John, it makes my blood boil to think we're coming up on Memorial Day. People gave their lives, my family members and countless others across this nation, to be betrayed like this. Our country does not work like this. And amongst many others, I think Boehner and I think McConnell, these guys need to be fired. And I'm tired of my letters not being answered properly. I am tired of just being disrespected by these guys. Like I said, it makes my blood boil.
Pat, do you trust this president or do you trust this Congress?
I do not. Neither. I am angry, extremely angry with them.
Thank you for the call, Pat. Just the audacity that, you know, the whole thing is a secret. And for Orrin Hatch to say that he doesn't even know what's in it, I mean, that is a complete embarrassment. Let's go to line 5. Peggy is listening on WMAL in Washington. Peggy, you're up on the Savage Nation. Hello.
You know, John, the polls show that 70% of people, Republican and Democrat, are against the TPP. And that's because it doesn't work. NAFTA didn't work. CAFTA didn't work. The only people that benefit are the big corporations and transnationals, and the people are just pushed aside and lose their jobs and everything else. And I'll tell you, John, I am a social conservative, and I vote Republican because I'm pro-life and I'm pro-traditional family. But when it comes to things like this, I'm thinking about casting my vote for Elizabeth Warren if she decides to run. I really am. And I'm sorry for the Democrats, but they're shills to corporations and big banks. And you can see it when they support things like this as TPP. It's not helping me.
No, it is not. And I'll tell you, Peggy, it's pretty sad that it's the Democrats and Elizabeth Warren calling for the transparency. 1-855-400-SAVAGE, 1-855-400-7282. This is John DePietro sitting in for Dr. Michael Savage, and this is the Savage Nation.
And this bill represents an opportunity for Republicans and Democrats to stand together for the middle class. So I hope our friends across the aisle will allow us to seize this opportunity, and I'm optimistic. We all know that trade is important for American workers and American jobs. And we all know that by passing this legislation, we can show we're serious about advancing new opportunities for bigger American paychecks, better American jobs, and a stronger American economy.
That is Republican Mitch McConnell, an Obama ally. You're listening to the Savage Nation. This is John DePietro sitting in for Dr. Michael Savage. Remember to visit our website. It's michaelsavage.com. Remember, the doctor's new book is available right now, Countdown to Mecca. It's available in stores. You can also order it from the website. Find out why the New York Times is not including it on their bestseller list. And you can also see various stories that are in the news, many stories you can't find anywhere else. Log on at michaelsavage.com. Let's go to your phone calls. 1-855-400-SAVAGE. Again, Mitch McConnell, in this case, Orrin Hatch, going along with the president on secrecy. What is in this bill? Why is it taking, of all people, the fake Indian, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, to call for transparency in this bill? Let's go to Pete on line 2, listening on WJR in Detroit. Pete, you're up next on the Savage Nation. Hello, Pete.
Good morning, sir.
Hi there, Pete. Go right ahead.
This trade bill, if it passes with Republican votes, the first words out of the unions, the Democrats, and the media are going to be, Republicans hate workers. They hate unions. They're exporting jobs. But they're just going to conveniently forget that this was the president's idea, just like sequestration. And I don't see why nobody can talk about this bill, but Dianne Feinstein can get on TV and just spill the beans on all the CIA interrogation techniques.
Well, you know, thank you for the call, Pete. You know what's interesting, folks, is, I mean, who is making decisions on voting for Republican for feel or feeling that, they're really showing me that they can work with the president. I mean, are you sending people, wherever you can hear me right now, are you sending people to Washington because they can work with the president, so they're going to work with the president? I thought it's supposed to be the party of opposition, the party to keep this administration in line. This is the party of secrecy. Who is sending someone to Washington to work hand in hand across the aisle with Team Obama? Let's go to line 3. Curtis is listening on WBMQ in Georgia. Curtis, this is John DePietro, and you're up on the Savage Nation. Hello, Curtis.
Hey, John. How you doing?
Very well, Curtis. Go right ahead.
Just want to say happy Memorial Day to all the vets out there. Michael said it the best 2 weeks ago. He said, if Obama's for it, there's probably something wrong with it. And everything we've seen from this guy, you can best blame. The Republicans, hey, they're slipping. Like Michael said, I'm a nationalist now. He said he's a nationalist. That's what I am. John, did you say you were from Providence?
Well, a call. Thank you for the call. A caller had said that. Yes, originally from the Northeast. Let's go to line 7. Frankie is listening on WABC in New York. Frankie, you're up next on the Savage Nation. Hello, Frankie.
Hey, guy. How are you doing, John?
Very well, Frankie. Go right ahead.
You got all the respect in the world for Mr. Savage.
Thank you.
The question is not so much trust, because that's an oxymoron. Trust in government don't work. It's like the legalities. Who is really responsible? Who's the guy that's pushing this, that's going to make it stand? Because as far as I'm concerned, I was thinking about it the other night. What are politicians practicing? Politics. Okay, let's look at this. Politics. Like no lie detector test? Yes. Ticks, blood-sucking insects. So it's truly, they're lying, blood-sucking insects from the word go.
I know, but, Frankie, thank you for the call. I mean, one way is, there has to be trust but verify. The fact that they won't even let us know what's in the bill. And again, let's play clip 2. It comes down to the Republicans are on one side. Who's fighting or who's opposing the president? Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. Let's listen to Senator Warren.
Even members of Congress are prohibited from talking about the details in public, and yet, in the next day or two, the Senate is scheduled to vote on whether to grease the skids to make that secret trade deal, the TPP, the law of the land. This isn't how democracy is supposed to work. One of our fundamental principles of representative government is transparency. Our government is supposed to keep things secret from the people only if it has a really, really good reason to do so.
I better check the temperature in hell, because I think I actually agree with Elizabeth Warren, the senator from Massachusetts. 1-855-400-SAVAGE. Orrin Hatch goes along with the president. Mitch McConnell goes along with the president. Orrin Hatch admits he doesn't even know fully what's in the bill, and he goes along with President Obama. Do you trust this Obama administration? Why are the Republicans going along, pushing his agenda forward? Is that why you sent them to Washington? Let's go to line 6. Eric is listening on KSFO in San Francisco. Eric, you're up on the Savage Nation. Hello, Eric.
John, thank you very much for bringing this particular point up, that Orrin Hatch has no idea what's in the bill, but yet he's willing to vote for it. There is a law in the land right now that CEOs are criminally and personally responsible for signing on their financial statements. And the fact that the idea that we hold our public officials not to a different standard is absolutely
the call, Eric. It certainly does not play into our best interest. And what I don't understand is why would they, of all the things, why would they play into this? Do they underestimate just how little people trust this president, how little people trust Washington? Is there someone listening that says, yes, I sent my representative to Washington, even though he's a Republican, to work closely with the president? Let's go to line 8. Joe is listening to the Savage Nation on a great station. Again, you can call in 1-855-400-7282. Joe's listening on WVLK in Kentucky. Joe, this is John DePietro. You're up on the Savage Nation, Joe.
Well, I hate to admit it, but I had to vote for Mitch McConnell because his opponent was a professed Obama follower, Allison Lonergan Grimes. But I'm wondering, when are the American people going to have enough of the lies of these people that we elect to be so-called leaders? You wouldn't tolerate it if your wife lied to you or your child lied to you. Why do we tolerate it from these people?
Thank you for the call, Joe. Well, most people don't. Most people don't tolerate it. And one way around it is certainly that there should be transparency. Now, let's play clip 3. I want you to listen. This is, of all people, progressive, liberal Democrat Elizabeth Warren going against President Obama, going against the Republicans, and demanding transparency on this. Let's listen. This is clip 3, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren.
So if there are no good reasons for secrecy here, that leaves only a bad reason. And believe it or not, it's a reason I've heard people give multiple times. We should keep the deal secret because if the details were made public now, the public would oppose it. Well, that's how our democracy is supposed to work. If the TPP is mostly done and the public wouldn't support it if they could see it, then it shouldn't become the law.
Think of that. Don't show the public the details because then otherwise they would be against it. Don't show the public the details because otherwise they're not going to support it and they would want to stop it. 1-855-400-SAVAGE. Remember, log on to our website, michaelsavage.com. You can see this story and many other stories. Let's go to line 1. Janice is listening on WABC in New York. Janice, you're up on the Savage Nation, Janice.
Yes, hi. I'm just curious. I heard that Ted Cruz, of all people, voted to fast-track this thing. Us conservatives gotten used to rhinos and establishment Republicans pulling this kind of crap. But has anybody heard Ted Cruz defend his position on this?
It's a very good point, Janice, and thank you for the call. And that's someone who wants to be the next president. Line 4, let's go to Butch, listening in Atlanta on WXYC. Butch, this is John DePietro, and you're up on the Savage Nation. Hello, Butch.
Hey, well, thank you. I'm surprised why everybody seems to be surprised about Mitch and the House leader going in cahoots with Obama. You may recall that his premise is that lead from behind. And when people view that as a sign of weakness, it's working on behalf of Obama because to sit at the table of power, you have to go along with Obama. So all the folks who want a part of the action and everybody wants power, they have to sit with Obama. And that's why it makes perfect sense that the American people are continually get screwed because they want power and money. And when you have the two of those together with this trade agreement, the rich gets richer and they stay in power. So it's very simple. I don't understand why people are so shocked.
I'll tell you why, Butch, and thank you for the call. Because we don't expect them to just go along. And the real power is if then you're representing what the people really want. You don't suddenly now just start to cave and go along with this administration. And if it is in everyone's best interest, why is it being kept a secret? Why do you have to? You can't even take notes in looking at it. Why, if it is in everyone's best interest and it makes sense? What Orrin Hatch is going along, he doesn't even know what's in it. Let's go to line 5. Tom is listening in Michigan on WJR. Tom, you're up next on the Savage Nation.
Hey, John, thanks for taking my call.
Very welcome.
In regards to our selected officials, and I don't mean elected officials, there's no doubt in my mind that these people have been bought out, sold out, or they're being blackmailed. And in regards to previous callers, I agree with what one gentleman was touching on. I think that these people, they have something over them because there's no reasonable answer as to why they would be selling out our country and going in the opposite direction that we need to be going in. And to answer your question, you asked earlier, I don't trust the government. I don't trust this president, and I've been a lifelong Republican. And to me, it seems as if there's just one party now.